All right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. We're going to be continuing our Clash of the Champions review series. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Let's get into it. Clash of the Champions 2 Miami Mayhem on June 8th, 1988, roughly 2,400 at the James L. Knight Arena. Not a bad rating. I mean, it was down from the initial one they did a few months back. It was a 4.8 rating on TBS. Of course, this was on before the awful Atlanta Braves were playing back in 1988. Because I remember when it went off the air, Tony Schiavone's like, Atlanta Braves baseball is coming up next. I'm like, it's 88. Who gave a shit? They were horrible. This wasn't any better, but let's get into it. Tony Schiavone, Bob Caudle doing the commentary, JR doing the announcing from the parking lot as he's talking about all the higher ups that are there, Gary Gister, all the promoters. Why? Because there would be a contract signing for the Great American Bash at this event. They would show, and the Four Horsemen were heavily involved in this night. So on opening match was for the NWA United States Championship. Newly appointed Four Horseman Barry Windham defending the title against Brad Armstrong, who had just defected to the Horsemen. He has James J. Dillon at ringside. The fans weren't too happy about this. The match to me was okay, but I was never a Brad Armstrong fan. I like his brother better, Road Dogg, but I mean, Brad Armstrong and WCW or NWA just to me, I don't know. I just something that he was missing. And I mean, he looked pretty good in this match, but again,
It was all right. The match was good.
it was okay for a clash. It wasn't a pay per view
Yeah.
match. Um, it was funny when Wyndham applied the figure four and several times Dillon's helping him. Of course, Teddy Long, and I love this back in the 80s because
Yeah.
both WWF and WCW did this. They would ask the fans, was he helping him? And of course, if they're going to cheer, what are you going to do? Tell them to break the hold? You didn't see it. Come on, Teddy. You're better than this. That went on for several minutes. Of course, Armstrong reversed it, but of course, Wyndham reversed it back. And then he had to break the hold when Teddy found him. Now, Armstrong went off the top rope for a splash the second time. Wyndham countered it almost like a pin, but instead of the pin, he put the claw on him and got the pin that way. So Barry Windham keeps the United States Championship against Brad Armstrong. So following that, Bob Caudle had interviewed the returning Rock and Roll Express to the NWA. And the interview was pretty good. I liked when they wrestled in the 80s. They were pretty good. I always back then, for some reason, wanted to see them versus the Rockers. I don't know why.
What was the name?
Possibly, who
Tag
knows?
team, the
When
name.
I was a kid and I'm watching both, I'm like, I want to see these two teams go at it.
Well, the Rockets, basically they kind of stole their
Yeah, it was a rip off of
uh,
them. We all obviously, but it would have still been good to see. And then plus they also showed on the yacht Blackhawk, which was owned by the Chicago Blackhawks,
mm,
the contract signing for the NWA World Heavyweight
right.
Championship at the Great American Bash on July 10th, 1988, between Ric Flair and Lex Luger. And Flair made the one comment, if you can survive till the Great American Bash, that would play a key role tonight.
Mhm.
So, and then of course Jim Ross interviewed Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen as they arrived to the arena. Before Lex Luger would be arriving later, but it was Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and of course Dillon and Wyndham were already there. So our next match on the card was for the NWA United States Tag Team titles. The Fantastics defending the titles against the Sheep Herders, Luke and Butch.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, they had last names here, but I look at them as Luke and Butch. I also couldn't believe that they were heels and that they weren't whacking around.
Right, yeah.
Because
It's
I
kind of
forgot
weird to
that
see as you remember them as that.
I did, and I honestly forgot that they were in NWA for a short time, and they had a different gimmick.
Yeah.
But before the match, Jim Ross wanted to interview Lex Luger as he showed up, but the Four Horsemen gave him a horseman ass whooping, busted him open, tore up his clothes. Flair gave him a nice little shoe to the head, so they took him off to the hospital. But as far as the match goes, I mean, it wasn't bad. The Sheep Herders doing the heel thing. Rip Morgan trying to get involved. He was at ringside. Of course, Butch keeps telling him, wave the damn flag from New Zealand. That's what you're supposed to do. He accidentally clotheslines Luke on the outside. whatever. But the funny thing to me was on the outside, Butch hits Rogers not only with one of the title belts, but then hits him with a chair as well. And I'm like, ref, where the hell are you in this? But during all the chaos, you almost didn't see the pin. I actually had to go back a little bit and see how Rogers threw Luke into Fulton. Fulton actually just rolled up Luke and got the pin, but there was so much chaos on the outside that you really couldn't tell what was going on. And this is the one of two matches that are going to end like this on this night. And of course, after the match, the Sheep Herders beat him down. So this feud is not going anywhere anytime soon. So following that, now Tony interviewed Dr. Death Steve Williams about the Horsemen attacking Luger.
Yeah, because they had shown the beatdown. They had shown the beatdown earlier. After they showed the contract signing, they showed the Luger beatdown, which later on they showed the Luger beatdown again, just in case we missed it the first time.
Exactly. This is a huge thing because this is a huge main event for the Bash, Flair and Luger, which is going to wind up at the Bash. That was a referee stoppage match, so we didn't even get a clean victory on that one. So now our next match on the card was Jimmy Garvin and Ron Garvin versus the Varsity Club, Florida Heavyweight Champion Rick Steiner, NWA Television Champion Mike Rotunda, and Kevin Sullivan in the cage.
Yeah, so this is right before Garvin gets out of here. He leaves not too long after this. He goes
Ronnie Garvin.
Ronnie Garvin goes to WWF right after this. Same thing with the Brainbusters. They leave not a few months later too. I'm just saying this year. This year is when they
at some point
within a few months. Arn Anderson and Tully go to WWF too.
Which is a shame because right now the NWA is operating at top capacity. The Horsemen are the highlights of the thing besides Sting and Luger, and you're losing two of your biggest pieces to it in Anderson and Blanchett, and unfortunately, and then Ronnie Garvin. I mean, whether you're going to miss him or not, I mean, they didn't do anything with him in WWF, so honestly, I think he should have just stayed where he was. But I mean, during this entire match, they focused on Kevin Sullivan trying to get. Now they left the key to the cage with Precious. Okay,
Precious. Yeah.
Why I don't know. Supposedly Sullivan's got a piece of paper that she's intrigued by, and he's like, "Come here, and I'll show you what I got." Meanwhile, we know what you want. You want the damn key. Now, Dr. Death Steve Williams joined commentary for this match, and he would also play a role in it later on. This was another one that you didn't know really who won because they were focused on the cage. When Precious finally went to the cage, Sullivan got the key to let himself out. And at this point, Jimmy Garvin rolled up Rick Steiner and got the pin. So the Garvins won the match. Now, afterwards, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Williams attacked Sullivan when he was choking out Precious. For whatever reason, after this whole altercation ended, she pushed Jimmy Garvin and left.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe because he didn't come to her aid. I don't know. This was a little chaotic for me, this match. Yeah. So, and the Varsity Club isn't exactly all there mentally, especially with Sullivan and Steiner. So congratulations, though. Jimmy and Ronnie get the victory. Now, I love this one because I laughed during this promo. They showed back in January how the Powers of Pain were attacking the Road Warriors during their workout. Ivan Koloff was even part of it.
That's right.
And so they were talking about how the Road Warriors would be facing the Powers of Pain at the Great American Bash in a scaffolding match.
Right. They announced it and everything.
The match that never happened.
Right, yeah.
Why? Because they tucked their tails, got the hell out of there. Because the Road Warriors then wound up becoming part of the Tower of Doom match.
Right.
Which they showed the schematics for. And it's a 3-tier cage. And WCW or NWA, they've done it in a few times later on. I believe. Wasn't the 2-on-8 match kind of that same style?
It was similar.
Or when Arquette won the title, they had the 3-tier.
Oh, that was a whole different level. They got it from the movie, right? From the movie, I think?
Well, with Arquette, I think they got it from the movie. But the 2-on-8 thing with Mega Powers against the whatevers, the dungeon, that kind of was similar to what they were showing here. They showed the original drawing of how medieval it was.
The Powers of Pain, supposedly they left because they didn't want to do the scaffolding match. I don't know all of the backstory. I don't know.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe they also got a pretty substantial money offer from WWF because WWF didn't get the Road Warriors, so that was kind of like their consolation prize was getting
Yeah,
the
because two
Powers of
months
Pain.
later they were at SummerSlam.
Yeah, so who knows?
Hey, we benefited from it. I like the Powers of Pain. I just thought
And
Demolition
then,
buried them. I've said this. Everybody buries somebody. Road Warriors bury the Powers.
well, I don't think it
Demolition
would.
buries the Powers. Road
Well,
Warriors bury Demolition.
yeah, but I blame the promoters. I blame Vince and
Yes.
the creative team for burying them, not
No,
Demolition.
not no. I don't blame them. So now our next match on the card was Nikita Koloff versus Al Perez. Yay. That's all I'm going to say.
That's the thing
I'm
about that's why this
not.
clash. That's why this clash suffers.
It
You
did.
you don't have the Road Warriors, and you don't have Ric Flair back on this, so it kind of suffers.
Nope. We get Al Perez
Yeah. So
and Gary Hart, and we get Larry Zbyszko because he shows up. Now, what's funny is once again the second straight clash they use a table that they claim broke because it wasn't set up properly, so it just falls. Because Gary Hart threw Nikita Koloff's head into the table, and the table went down. Like, oh, he broke the table. No, he didn't. Let's just stop exaggerating. He didn't do that. Koloff won by disqualification because Larry Zbyszko interfered. And then Gary Hart wraps his jacket around Nikita's head, and Al Perez is beating him down with a chain while Zbyszko holds his feet. Nobody came to Koloff's aid, which I thought was messed up. But it's setting up a storyline for some point. But no, Nikita Koloff did get the victory in this match against Al Perez by disqualification. Now, our next match on the card was the main event for the NWA Tag Team titles. Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard defending the titles against Sting and Dusty Rhodes. Now, this match was pretty good. I like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. Obviously Sting and Dusty. Their resume speaks for themselves. So this was a pretty good main event. It ending in a double disqualification, that kind of got on me.
they just love this stuff in NWA, WCW.
Exactly. This is the second straight clash that Sting is not getting a victory either way. It's a draw. Second draw. My God. Mainly because Sting threw the referee, which should have been just the initial disqualification. But then when Barry Windham showed up and put the claw on Dusty, then they ruled it a double disqualification. But technically, Sting should have been just disqualified because then the match should have been over. And Windham doing that was just recreational. So, and of course, then Flair comes down and attacks Sting. So, it's not enough that Flair got to Luger.
Right, yeah.
But now he's getting to Sting. And of course, following this match, JR was talking about how he's either going to talk to Lex Luger on TBS Saturday night the following week in the studio, or was he going to go be visiting him in the hospital? So they're definitely setting up that main event to be a good one. So when we get to the Great American Bash, I'm looking forward to covering that one. But I mean, all in all, it wasn't as good as the original. Nothing usually is, but it was still a decent card.
Yeah, it was all right. It was.
There's other good ones to come. Trust me, we got plenty more to go.
Absolutely. All right, that's our review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.